Central bank Nemesis wins the Argentina election. Now, we just saw a central bank nemesis, I'm talking about Javier Milei, win the presidential election in Argentina. And this is a very big deal, bigger than most people realize, for three reasons. Two are very positive, but the other, well, he's being accused of being controlled opposition. So in this video, I'm going to break down why this election was a watershed moment, what this means for Argentina, Central South America, and the rest of the world, including the United States. And of course, I want to discuss the allegations of him being controlled opposition. So let's go. All right, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, my name is Mark Moss. I make these videos to change the way you think about money. Doesn't matter where you're at in the world, the money works the same way. And so understanding what's going on in Argentina, South Central America, the rest of the world, it all matters to us no matter where we're at. So it's a story about Argentina, but it's also about the United States, Europe, Canada, and the rest of the developed world that you see. Argentina was once one of the world's richest countries in the entire world, but today, its poverty is rife and inflation is over 100%. The busy streets of Argentina are full of money changers shouting, "Cambio, cambio," basically saying they want to exchange your money for you. They're doing this because locals are desperate to swap out their ever-growing wads of pesos for US dollars, even though the so-called blue dollar exchange is done at just half of what the official rate is. Now, this is a very sketchy market. It's a sketchy deal, but many people are willing to make this deal in a country where annual inflation is running at more than 100%, and the pesos in your hand are worth less all the time. But what happened? How did they go from one of the richest countries in the world to this? Well, Buenos Aires was once dubbed the Paris of South America for its European architecture and cosmopolitan culture. And it was for a long time the capital of a very rich and very prosperous nation. But today, about 40% of Argentinians live in total poverty. But how did this happen, and how did it happen so quickly? If we look at the economic data, it suggests the country's persistent troubles with inflation started in the mid-1940s with the rise of Juan Domingo Perón to power. Now, his program of basically helping everybody by somehow not helping everybody, basically he nationalized all production, took over means of production in the state. He erected all types of trade barriers to protect the people. He empowered unions and boosted wages while increasing welfare payments. Now, of course, this is good for the people. It's just not very good for the producers. Now, this made him and his wife, Evita Perón, heroes among the working class. But his policies were disastrous. They were largely paid for by stealing for the production class, as well as by printing money, printing massive amounts of money, which of course leads to runaway inflation. Now you can see the chart that I have on the screen, which shows you exactly where his policies were put into place and what the continuation of those policies have done to this once great country. Now it's continued down this path. It's only gotten worse as basically the people continued to vote for the very same policies as those before them. Even though these policies caused these problems, they continued to vote for them anyway, somehow thinking that more government intervention could somehow fix the problem that the intervention had caused in the first place. Now, in the book Atlas Shrugged, written by Ayn Rand, definitely recommend that you go read it, or at least watch the movie. The character in there, John Galt, at the end, he gave a speech and it sort of tells the tale of what happened. He said, quote, "As factories closed, goods became scarce, jobs disappeared. Your lives became more difficult as the life force of your world is draining. But have you noticed that while everything around you seems to decline, one thing still grows? It's the power of your rulers. None of their plans and directives have solved your problems or made your life better. The only result has been their increased control over you at the cost of your freedom." End quote. Does that sound familiar? Well, he wasn't telling the story of Argentina, but he was. He wasn't telling the story of Europe or Canada or Australia or the United States, but he was. So now I want to talk about why this is such a big deal, like I said, in three different ways. But real quick, before we do, who the heck is this new president? His name is Javier Milei. He's a 53-year-old economist. Now, mainstream media, legacy media wants to call him a right-wing economist, but he's an economist. He's a former television pundit. He has no governing experience, which in my opinion probably makes him pretty good. But he claimed nearly 56% of the vote. Now, Tucker Carlson went down to Argentina to find out who he was, sat down with him back in September, and they had a pretty long interview. I'm gonna link to the interview in the description down below if you wanna go watch it. It's on Twitter. Highly recommend that you hear directly from him. It was a great interview with Tucker. But Milei is an Austrian school economist. This is a lot different than what you would call typically a traditional economist or what we would call a Keynesian economist. Keynesian economist believes that the government should always print money, like modern monetary theory, whereas an Austrian school economist believes the opposite, that all debt and credit should come from the means of production and from savings, from delayed gratification. It's a big difference. I'm in the Austrian school of economics. Gold bugs, Bitcoiners, we all fall in the Austrian school, and that's exactly what Milei is. I guess if that makes us right-wing, then I guess so be it. Now, a lot of people say, well, maybe he's like controlled opposition. We're gonna get to that, but I've seen him on TV in videos quoting F.A. Hayek, one of my favorite authors of the Austrian School of Economics. If you can quote Hayek, you get it, right? If you've read enough to memorize it, you get it. He's been on TV calling out politicians in Argentina, calling them parasites. He's railed against central banking, saying, quote, with legal tender, they scam you with the inflationary tax, end quote. Or what we say, inflation is tax. It's a hidden tax. It's theft. Okay, so now you kind of get who he is. But again, why is this such a big deal? I brought to break it down in 3 ways. So the first reason why this is a really big deal is because this signals a massive shift in changing direction. And not just changing direction like a little bit, I'm talking about a 180-degree turn. And I have to admit, maybe I'm wrong, I never thought I would see this day. What do I mean? I've always believed that democracy is sort of a scam. Democracy is mob rule. It's tyranny of the minority by the majority. Whatever the mob wants, they get. If 8 of us agree that you two should give us all your money, that's democracy. And once more than 50% of democracy realize that they can vote themselves more money, why would they ever vote for themselves less money? So I thought there would never be a way to change directions, but yet here we are. We saw a democracy voting for less money. We saw a democracy vote for less government programs, which is essentially less money. I never thought we'd see the day, but yet here we are. I think it's probably though because they hit rock bottom. Now you might have a friend who's an alcoholic or a drug addict and you see their life going the wrong direction. You know where that road heads and you want to help them. You offer to help them, you offer to spend money to put them in rehab, whatever. They don't want your help. And the reason why is they typically have to have enough pain. They have to hit rock bottom, feel the pain before they're willing and motivated to make a change. And I think that's what's happened in Argentina. Things have been so bad for so long. The people have voted for the same programs and not seen any change that they finally said, enough, the pain's too high. We'll go to rehab. We'll go the other way. And I guess that's what happened. And I'm encouraged. Now, the election basically came down to a runoff between the running Peronist candidate, current Minister of the Economy. I want to repeat that. I'll say it again, Minister of the Economy, Sergio Massa. So it came down between Massa and Milei. The Minister of the Economy couldn't get the economy going, but supposedly people think this outsider can. Eugenia Rolana, a social media influencer, said, quote, we're tired of the same politicians who lied to us for years and brought us this economic, social, and cultural disaster. So, if voting for the same people and getting the same result gets tiring, at some point you should try something else. But others, like restaurant owner Oscar Rodriguez, warns against a quick fix. And he said, not to get your hopes up. But of course, Einstein's definition of insanity is, of course, doing the same thing and expecting different results. So if you don't like the results of what you've been getting, if you're a California or a New York voter and you don't like the direction your state is going, maybe you should look at the political party that's been running things for a while. But like I said, in Argentina, the pain was high enough. They hit rock bottom. They're making the shift. Hopefully the rest of the world can make this shift before rock bottom happens, but that's where we are in Argentina. They are now taking the leap into the unknown with a leader that's literally promising to shatter the entire system, which the locals now correctly realize is broken. Now I want to show you this video right here of explaining exactly what he's going to do.
Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad, afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas, afuera. Aunque te resistas. Vamos a seguir por acá. Ministerio de Ciencia y Tecnología e Innovación, algo bien del sector privado. Nada bueno salió del sector público, afuera. Ministerio de Trabajo, Empleo y Seguridad Social, afuera. Ministerio de Educación, adoctrinamiento, afuera. Ministerio de Transporte, afuera. Ministerio de Salud, afuera. Ministerio de Desarrollo Social, afuera. ¿Cómo queda el Estado? Ministerio de Capital Humano, Ministerio de Infraestructura, Ministerio de Economía, Ministerio de Justicia, Ministerio de Seguridad, Ministerio de Defensa, Ministerio de Relaciones Exteriores y Ministerio del Interior. Se acabó el curro de la política. ¡Viva la libertad, carajo!
All right, so for those of you that don't speak Spanish, he was saying afuera, afuera, like each government entity, he's just gonna get rid of. He's literally gonna shut down all of these government bodies from education to interior ministry to economics. He's just gonna get rid of all of them. He's just gonna clean house. There's a concept in accounting I applied to my life. In accounting, it's called zero-based accounting. I call it zero-based thinking. In zero-based accounting, instead of trying to whittle down a budget, you just throw the whole budget away and you start at zero. And instead of trying to whittle down a budget, you just start at zero and you add back in. And that's, it looks like what he's trying to do. Instead of trying to whittle down the government, he's like, I'm just gonna get rid of all of it and we'll just add back in what we need. Now, he's literally been going around on the campaign trail, like in this video you can see right here, literally carrying a chainsaw. He carries the chainsaw, showing people that he means business. He's going to cut it all down. All right, now the second reason why this is a big deal number two, is this is allowing the world to compete. This is how it's supposed to work. You try your thing, I try my thing. Let's see whose ideas are better. Now, what we're seeing all throughout Central and South America is that a lot of it is going communist. In South America, for example, we saw Colombia, we saw Chile adopt literally communist constitutions, literally bring in communists. Not like we call them communists, literally they are. In Central America, while we have El Salvador with Bukele, sort of a lot like Milei, running on a very libertarian platform, the neighboring country of Nicaragua literally went communist. And so we're gonna get to see in real time a communist nation and a libertarian nation, and we're gonna get to see what happens between those two. And we'll see which political ideology wins out, which one's gonna be better. And so this is how it's supposed to work. Let's see them compete. They're also gonna compete with different monies. So what are we talking about? Well, in Argentina, they've been working off of their own currency, their peso, which has been seeing massive amounts, like I said, even triple-digit inflation. But Milei wants to get rid of the central bank, shatter the central bank, end them. And he wants to, one, go back to dollars, move back to the dollar system, which a lot of people think, he's going back to the dollar, that's no good. Well, you know, he could go to a Bitcoin standard. We'll talk about that in a minute. But he's going to a dollar standard. Now, the dollar has lots of inflation as well, and it's still sort of this fiat colonialism, if you will. However, it at least puts them sort of on par with the inflation we have in the United States, not the triple-digit inflation like they've been having. People are literally giving away half their money just to get into dollars. I think well, I don't know exactly where it is. I didn't look it up before this video, but the exchange rate, the government exchange rate was somewhere like 250 to 1, but on the streets, people were paying like 500 to 1 just to get into dollars. That's how bad they needed them. So if they do go back to dollars, it does help those people. Now, he is running on a very pro-Bitcoin platform. This could be the second nation in Central and South America moving to a Bitcoin standard. He said he would. Now, which president wouldn't? In the United States, we have Republican Vivek Ramaswamy, previous on the left, now on center, centrist RFK Jr., both running on a pro-Bitcoin platform. But which president of the land of the free wouldn't run on a platform to allow you the freedom to use what money you want, to store your wealth in whatever way you want? And so it's not that crazy to think they're pro-Bitcoin. They're just pro-freedom. They're pro-libertarian. All right, now, why this is a big deal, number 3. Now, I've seen lots of people in my DMs, across social media, Twitter, saying that he's controlled opposition. that the World Economic Forum is putting him in place, trying to trick everybody, thinking he's a good guy, but he's really not. Why would they say that? Well, on the World Economic Forum website, his picture is listed on there as one of the global leaders. But I want to let you know something. I've done videos talking about this before where I've called out people who were listed on there, but the WEF has basically just put everybody's face on there. Just because they've got you and taken your face and put you on there, like Vivek Ramaswamy as well, doesn't mean you're a WEF puppet. It doesn't mean that. You need to dig in a little bit deeper. Okay, dig in a little bit deeper. Look at the actions. What has he done? What has he said? I tend to take people at their word until I have been proven I can't take them at their word. Just because the WEF put a picture of him on there, don't hold that against them. That itself is controlled opposition. What I look for is actual evidence, like, for example, all the propaganda that legacy media is coming out and just bashing him right off the bat. Like I said, they're calling him an extreme right-wing candidate. There's a post on The Guardian, like I have up right here, that's full of propaganda. Now, if you don't know how to look for propaganda, maybe you don't see it. I'll pause for a second and let me know what you see. I see he's raising his right hand. That's conjuring some associations right there. I see a woman standing behind him that symbolizes women being denigrated. I see them using the word far right, trying to just hold labels over him. It says that he wins after rival concedes. That implies that he didn't win by a vote, but rather they gave it to him. It says celebrity turned politician, which basically then tries to kind of put him in a camp with like Trump 2.0. It says unpredictable, which means scary, right? You can see it all over the place. And so if he really was a WEF puppet, why is legacy media trying to discredit him? Now, I am pretty much at this stage where I'm not 100% for or against anybody or one political party or ideology for that matter. He could be mostly good and he could still do some bad things. He could do mostly bad and do some good things. I don't know, but I'm willing to watch and see. Anyone who can quote Hayek gets it, all right? You don't memorize that and not let it change you. He said the right things. I believe he's coming from outside the system to change it, but we're gonna have to watch and see. We can't hang our hope on any one president or politician at this point, but what I'm seeing is not just what's happening in Argentina. This is a trend. We got Bukele in El Salvador. We have all throughout Europe this changing. We have Meloni in Italy. All throughout the West, this is changing. It's starting to sweep the world. The people are realizing that centralization has gone way too far. People are fed up with it. They're fed up with the bloated bureaucracies who demonize their own citizens and devalue their money into oblivion. A return to national pride is coming back across the West, and freedom's coming back. That's what I got. That's what I'm seeing. Maybe I'm just an optimist. Let me know in the comments down below. Am I an optimist? Or is this really coming back? Say coming back or optimist in the comments down below. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, you can give me a thumbs down. That's okay. But at least tell me why in the comments. Share this video with somebody that you think could use it. Somebody that could use a little bit of optimism in their life to see that this tide, this pendulum is shifting back. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And that's what I got. To your success. I'm out.